Hola, 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 ¿cómo está mi gente? Mi nombre es Lenray y hoy es 17 de enero 2021, and today I want to talk about how my year has gone so far. Um, 17th of January 2021, and I've had one significant setback and progress in the other, and the another one of my goals, I should say. So let's go ahead and talk about the setback first briefly, and then we'll move on to the more positive stuff. So last week on Saturday, I was at Jiu-Jitsu, rolling, or we weren't even rolling at the time. We were actually drilling, doing a particular armbar technique, a throw to armbar technique. And I was training with a good guy. Again, no hard feelings. He's a good guy. I'll still train with him once I go back. But we were doing the technique step by step by the numbers. We were probably going about 10% speed. So we weren't even going nowhere near the speed. And so I wasn't actually bracing for the actual move. And we had already done the move numerous times. And for some reason, he decided to go very quickly. I mean, almost full speed. He started off very slow, step 1, 2, very slow, and then when it came to the actual armbar, he picked up the speed very rapidly and almost close to full speed, not quite. But again, I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't prepared for it. I wasn't even bracing for it. And he ended up hyperextending my elbow. And honestly, at the time, it was just felt like a little tweak, no real problems. But it wasn't until I got home that night and then the following day where the pain actually really increased. And so for about 4 days, I'd say from Sunday till Thursday or so 4 or 5 days, the pain was up really high. Honestly, I had a brief period where I thought that I may have fractured something, but it's been 3 more days since that day, and or I guess it's Sunday now, so the following Sunday, and it's feeling better, right? I would say it's probably with use, it's probably a 3 out of 10, so not too bad. Whereas on Sunday, it was probably like an 8 out of 10 pain with use, right? When without use, the pain's pretty low, but it's when I use it where the pain happens. So I feel like it's getting better now. I don't think anything's broken or fractured or, no micro fractures, anything like that. Or maybe there is, I don't know. I think it was just a simple hyperextension of the elbow joint. And I feel like I'll be back. I'll probably go back on next Wednesday or so. Next Wednesday or next Thursday. So I'll give it almost 2 weeks of rest before I go back. And we should be good to go by then. I will say that I will be a little bit more cautious when I'm training with someone who I consider to be overzealous. I'll be a little bit more cautious now and just let them know, hey, let's go slow by the numbers, and we'll pick it up when we're actually rolling. So I will take the fault on that, but I assume that the person wouldn't pick up the speed so quickly, since we were actually going by the numbers, going very slow. So yeah, so anyways, that's over. Again, I'm gonna probably go back in another 4 or 5 days, give myself about 2 weeks of rest. All right, the good stuff. Let's talk about the good stuff. So I'm speaking Spanish now. He estado aprendiendo español durante 3 meses. Así que no es demasiado bueno. Yo practico todos los días, y con la esperanza de conversacional de Julio. Hopefully that made sense. Still struggling a little bit with the Spanish, but it is getting better. 2 things. So I have a speaking partner at work. It's a gentleman. He, Mexican American guy. He's fluent in Spanish, fluent in English, born and raised here in the States. And so I'm able to have conversations with him. So we probably talk maybe a total of maybe 20 to 30 minutes a day. And I feel like it's very beneficial for me. It helps me increase my confidence. I'm actually able to speak to someone in a real conversation, not a scripted conversation. And so when questions are asked of me, I'm pretty much on the spot. I have to be actively listening and, trying to express my ideas or my thoughts in real time, in an unscripted environment, which is kind of cool. He's not. He's actually my language partner. Very helpful. He's an older gentleman. I think he's probably in his 60s or so. I think he might be 65 or so years old. So very patient, non-judgmental, able to give me corrections and tips, during our conversations. So that's kind of a good thing. I think the biggest thing that I'm learning right now is that it's very, very important to have real conversations, right? I know that sometimes doing the scripted conversations are helpful, but having real conversations, you have to actually come up with real answers and non-scripted ideas on the fly. All right, so I'm very happy to have this my training or language partner at work, and so it's working out well. Number two, so I have another coworker of mine. She is from Europe, so born in Europe. She moved to the United States probably, I don't know, 15 or so years ago. But the cool thing is she is a polyglot. She, I believe, speaks 5 or 6 languages. She speaks English, Spanish, French, Romanian, and I believe Italian, maybe something else. But she speaks multiple languages, and I believe she is obviously she's 100% fluent in English, Romanian, and Spanish for sure. The other two, I'm not. So what did I say? English, Romanian, and Spanish. Yeah, so she's 100% fluent in those languages. I'm not quite sure of the degree or the advancedness in the other 2 or 3, depending on how many she speaks. But I know for a fact she does speak those 5 languages. But we were talking the other day, and she was telling me just one of the differences she's found in language learners in Europe versus language learners in the United States. And I thought it was pretty interesting. So she basically said that here in the United States, language learners are really, really focused on trying to speak first. And she says that's completely backwards for a number of reasons, right? She goes on to talk about in Europe, or where she's from, language learning is learned first through books. She says, as a young child, as a young adult, or a teenager, I would say, or a preteen, the students are given books to read in their target language. So they're reading first, right? And along with reading, obviously, you're going to come across words you don't know, and you're going to come across those words multiple times in a particular book. And, it's up to you to figure out what that word means, right? Using your dictionary, right? Your language dictionary to figure out what the word means. And so she says that they always start off reading books first, then writing, and then they move to speaking. Speaking will come with time. Speaking will come with lots of reading, lots of input, right? So hearing the language, reading the language, writing the language, right? Speaking will come with, will essentially come by osmosis. It will come eventually, just by osmosis, right? It will come eventually. And but she says the most important thing is reading books. Reading books is number one. Reading books will build your vocabulary. It will also teach you grammar, sentence structure, right? And those are the things you need in order to speak a language, right? You need to know words, right? You need to know how to formulate a sentence, right? In the beginning, you will sound like Tarzan. I run to store, or I shop at mall, right? You will sound like Tarzan in the beginning, right? But with time, with repetition, with more listening, more input, you will eventually become fluent in the language, or conversational, and then eventually fluent in the language. And I just thought that was so interesting. So I already had this goal, right? My goal was to read. I don't have a specific number, but read a Spanish book frequently. You know, I don't have a number. I probably should make a number, make that goal a little bit more quantifiable. But but I haven't actually been doing it. 17 days into the year so far, and I haven't actually read any Spanish books other than, you know, the Assimil. And for those that know, I use Assimil. I'm not sure if I said that already. I use Assimil. Highly recommend it. I will leave a link in the description for this. If you are interested in learning Spanish, French, Italian, this book is an excellent book for you. It is actually made in France. It's a France. It is a French company. It's been around since, I believe, World War II. It's been around for a really long time. I think Spanish. This is actually probably the 5th or the 6th edition of Spanish. Just came out about 2 years ago, the newest edition, and it's an excellent resource. If you can get your hands on Assimil for you know, your target language, I would do that. There's a gentleman by the name of Professor Alexander Arguelles. He is a famous polyglot. I believe he knows 20 different languages, and he recommends Assimil. He recommends Assimil all the time for learning your language. And so I will, highly recommend this book. So this is pretty much all I've been reading. So for the last 17 days, right, Assimil has a English, Spanish side. This is all Spanish here, and this is all English over here. So it has an English and a Spanish side, but again, the dialogues in Assimil are only, you know, 30 seconds to a minute long, right? And so that's a significant amount of input, honestly. But I feel like I need to make it more of a habit and actually start reading more books. Now, the books I do have here are two of actually my favorite books in English. I have yet to read them in Spanish, although I've had them for about 2 months now. So the first one is Los Cuatro Acuerdos, or the Four Agreements, which is an excellent book. For anyone interested in self-development, buy this book. Buy it in English, obviously, if you know, in order to read it ASAP. So I would recommend this book. Also, another one of my favorite books, El Alchemist. So in English, it's The Alchemist. Another excellent self-improvement book or self-development book. But right now, I'm not quite sure which one I'm going to read first. I'll probably end up reading I don't know. Maybe I'll read El Alchemista first, honestly, only because the chapters are much smaller, right? The chapters are only, there's a number of chapters, there's a ton of chapters here, but each chapter is only like 3 or 4 pages, right? So it gives me the opportunity to read a chapter a day and, you know, study that chapter as well. Whereas the other book, I believe the chapters are much longer, so that each chapter is about, you know, 8 to 10 pages. So I'd have to read a lot of information and then try to translate and study and things like that. So El Alchemista might be the best book for me right now. So this is probably the one I'm going to go with. So yeah, so that's all I got. You know, the biggest tip she gave me was, the biggest tip was read books. Read as often as possible. Read all the time, and eventually the vocabulary will increase, the sentence structure, the grammar, the understanding of how to use the language will increase, and that's what's most important. If you want to be fluent, you gotta put in the work, right? My goal, as I said in my little Espanol soliloquy, was to be Spanish by July, and you know, I think that did I say fluent? Be conversational by July. Hopefully fluent by July, right? I think there's a little distinction between being conversational and fluent, but hopefully fluent by July. But I want to be conversational, able to express, you know, the general ideas and get my point across and Spanish by July. If I'm able to have political conversations by July, right, more complex conversations, reading Don Quixote by July, that'll be freaking amazing. But right now, I just want to be conversational by July, able to have dialogue with coworkers, dialogue with Spanish-speaking patients, and go to markets, and maybe even go to South America one day in the near future, on a short vacation, and just have a little immersion experience, and just kind of solidify that language. Yeah, so that's all I got. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace.